Welcome, everybody, to the NARPM Radio Podcast. I'm your host, Pete Newbig, and we have a twofer this week. So every week, I always say the same thing. We have a great show. Well, now we have a doubly great show as I have Alex Whiteoff and Lacey Hendricks here. They are co-founders of Clear Lead Digital. So Alex is self-taught SEO strategist, digital marketing expert, and content creator with a deep-rooted background in real estate and property management. As a matter of fact, Alex and Lacey both own property management firms, and so we're going to talk to him a little bit about that as well. He's a recognized industry's leader whose reputation is known for dedication, trust, and transparency. Lacey Hendricks is an SEO strategist for PM companies. So she combines a decade of industry experience with SEO space certified expertise to help PMs boost visibility, drive traffic, get found online, which all equals more business for the PM firms. Alex, Lacey, thank you so much for being at the Norton Podcast.
Thank you for
Thanks for
having me.
having us.
All right. So I'm going to get into this because that's what most people want to hear about. But it is a NARPM podcast, and both of you guys have dedicated lots of time and held different positions at NARPM. And Alex, you are now official. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing, what you've done or doing for NARPM, and why. Why are you giving back?
I give back because NARPM is a place that's always been accepting to me, and it's really been a place of growth for me. It's been an awesome experience just to when I started in this, industry 15 years ago. I didn't really know what I was kind of wasn't supposed to be a career, but NARPM was able to make it that career for me. And I'm very happy that well, the election is over and I'm officially going to be a board of director for NARPM National. It's something I never thought I'd see coming, but just because of some of the changes that have gone through in the past few years, I was able to get my designation and kind of make those things happen. And I'm really excited about the way where NARPM 2.0 is going, and I think that's going to be a really cool thing to be a part of. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen with them. We have a bunch of other great board members that are going to really do some great things, I believe.
Oh man, and thank you for doing that because I know it does take time. You don't get paid for it, and just a great way to give back on all the things that NARPM has given you and your business. Now, Lacey, we've known each other for quite some time, and I know that you're, the local chapter president, and I know you also had some other roles in NARPM. What have you done for NARPM, and what did you get out of it? How's it helped you in your business?
So I was the governmental affairs chair for 2023 and 2024, and the vice chair for the two previous years before that. And I've served as a PAC trustee for 4 or 5 years now. Um, NARPM is what taught me anything and everything I know about property management. And it's only as good as the people that volunteer to serve, right? So the organization is made up of volunteers. And while we do have an amazing staff, the only way for us to make it better is for more people to volunteer. So it's just been something that I've always been passionate about doing because it's made me who I am today in the property management world.
Yeah, obviously I bleed NARPM as being a podcast host. And I know like when I was RVP, Houston chapter president, all that stuff, it actually made me better, a better business owner. And it actually, there's no doubt it helped my property management business and stuff that I learned from NARPM is helping, me run VPM solutions. So thank you guys both for giving back to NARPM. But that's not why we're here today. Let's get into it. You guys both are running pretty solid PM firms. Like I know, Lacey, I know we've seen each other from afar, and I know you run a great business. Alex, I know that you're running a great business because you're a director of NARPM now, and they don't pull from the bottom of the barrel, they pull from the top of the barrel. So with that being said, I know how hard it is to run a PM firm. Tell me the story of how you guys connected, and tell me the story of Clearlead and how you got like just tell me how you guys partnered up and what made you guys prompt to add more to your plate.
It was NARPM. It was, NARPM was what brought us together. It was governmental affairs. We're both very passionate about governmental affairs. We both understand the importance of governmental affairs, and it kind of just started in the sense of we were in the committee meetings together, and then she calls me one day. She's like, "Guess what? You're going to be moving up. There's an opening." So I went up to vice chair, which I am this year, but now things have changed with the new position. So we started becoming really good friends and seeing each other at conferences, and then just talking. And then the SEO came out one day, and that's when the friendship just kind of blew up. In a sense, we really found that we both are doing this kind of under behind the scenes and for each of our own websites, and it just became this sharing tips back and forth, and really becoming a center for that little space that no one else wants to talk to us about. People always say, SEO is not sexy, and people don't want to talk about it, but we think it is. So we were having fun just talking about it and seeing each other win, and it really brought us into this place of like just like talking every day, and just really became a great space for us. And we just said, we're going to do something about that and help other people with this.
So you guys are basically passionate about SEO is what I'm hearing. So, and you guys, I think Alex, you were self-taught. Lacey, you took a bunch of courses and you guys started seeing what you were doing and helping each other out and seeing fruits of that labor. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, cool. So what makes, clearly different than most marketing agencies out there?
So Clearly, is by property managers and for property managers. People outside of our industry don't understand the life cycle of an owner or a property and or a tenant's life cycle. And it just makes it hard to market to a demographic that you don't understand. So since we come from the background of the property management space, it's really ingrained in who we are and how, that's what we do full time for the last decade. So we really understand this market very well, and it makes it a lot easier for us to get in there and do the specific work we need to do to make it produce the right kind of leads for property managers.
So Alex, why do you think most agencies that are out there kind of miss the mark of property managers?
I think Lacey kind of hit on it. It's because they don't understand the industry. They're coming in here and they're telling us these things. They're showing us these reports that look pretty and have numbers on it and graphs and all these things. And, you know, they're not it's not translating into our actual business. It's not translating into closed deals. You have a keyword you're ranking number one for on Google, but it has nothing to do with your business or anything that's going to convert into actual business. And I think the biggest thing is that I've been through so many different companies over the 15 years I've been doing this, and um, it was always like they were talking at us, and they were putting these reports in front of us and telling us these, you're doing great, but we weren't seeing it in the numbers. And you're paying all this money out, and you're you know there's let me say this, we have some great vendors in our space, but they're just not connected in the sense that we are with. We know the content. We could probably write the content for anything property management related just because we've lived it. And it's that disconnect that's there, that and that translates into actual thing. And then one of the things is a lot of the companies aren't following the basics of the basics. Google tells you the footprint that's out there, and they tell you what they want to see and what you need to do, and they're not doing it. And that was what it was for me. I went outside the industry and found someone to take a look at everything, and they kind of, we call it pulled back the curtain. And that's what it was for us. It was kind of a revolt from this information that I received, and kind of like, and it wasn't, they weren't misleading us or anything. They weren't lying to us, but they were packaging it up in a pretty little box. And that pretty little box, has some secrets behind it. Just once you started looking deeper and into the actual data, and that's what started for me. And I kind of just ran into the softwares and looking around and teaching myself, because I saw that once I started doing these things, I was seeing real results. you know we had one of our blogs was getting 10,000 views a month, 10,000 from Google, organically. It's slowed down recently. It's still a very high performer, but it was about the squatter law that here in Florida, and creating the most important thing is finding your niche in whatever it is, and finding what you're passionate about that's going to translate through your content.
Yeah, and look, I know most people listening to this, they know SEO. They know the term, right? It's been out there for years, but they have no idea. It's like this magic black box that we never get to see behind the curtain. And then it's like, oh, by the way, you need to do these things, and you might get to the front page in 3 years, right? Something like that. So, what are some of the shady, I hate to use that word, but like, what are some of the SEO tactics and red flags that so a lot of these companies are telling us as as potential clients.
So I don't think it's necessarily shady. I just think the problem is that most property managers don't know what to ask. And that's what we keep running into over and over, is that they're showing you these really high level metrics that look like you're performing really well. But if you know what questions to ask and you know what the intent of your message should be that you're putting out there, that should be what you're ranking for. You don't want to rank for the word mission statement. Okay, cool. You got a number one ranking keyword, but am I selling mission statements? I
Yeah.
no, I'm
So
not.
so it really goes back to really knowing your target, right?
Yes,
And uh and then you guys would develop a plan based on that target, and no one knows the target as well as you guys do because you live it day in and day out, even today with your property management firms. So one of the challenges that I had when I owned Empire was I paid a bunch of money, every month for these SEO folks. And then nobody in the industry, I was using somebody outside the industry, probably part of the challenge there. But you're overpaying, you're not really seeing performance. And I know marketing firms, they have a big churn rate because one, it's underperformance, and two, maybe it's just not enough time. And people like they want to do SEO for one day and then they want to be on the front page. So talk a little bit about, the danger of overpaying and underperformance, and how do you set those expectations to your clients?
I think, and this industry is very much, what are you doing for me now? And as you're not seeing the thing, here's the thing. Just like I do in the property management side, when I'm talking to a client, onboarding a client, bringing them into the company, my job is to educate them. My job is to teach them, how the processes work. And here's the thing, one of the things that we built when we built this, we said, we're not locking anyone to any contract. This is a kind of whatever month to month thing, because if, we're not going to live that, you're going to have to do this for 12 months, to make it work. It works for some, and it's here's the thing, there is no perfect algorithm to it. Google changes it every other day, this seems like, and all the search engines as well. It's finding those things, like I said, that niche that you're in, and then creating yourself authority in that space. That's what's going to really help you kind of, go forward. And some websites do, some websites don't. You just don't know. But there's things you can actually do to help the chances of that happen. And you're gonna, if you're following the fundamentals of SEO, that's a really good start. And there is tactics in SEO that you can do that are going to help you. They're going to help you get ranked higher. But again, it's like, it's SEO is kind of like gambling. Uh, in a sense, and you sometimes you win big, sometimes you don't, and you're up one day, you're down the next. But it's all about consistency in content, keeping the health of your website high, and all these things that really are important to Google to make sure it gives you that authority, and backlinks and all of these certain things. We can throw these words out there, and a lot of people are like, they just get shocked. So we make things really simple in our process. We give them the high level overview, we give them the strategies we're going to use, and that's another thing. These companies aren't using strategy; they're using just
Like a
what they.
shotgun is a shotgun method versus sniper method. They're just kind of throwing something out there and seeing what sticks versus like being very surgical in their approach.
Mhm.
exactly.
So it sounds like you guys are looking at stuff almost daily for your clients. Like you're looking at the website, you're looking at the changes that Google make, which that happens all the time. So let's kind of get kind of under the hood. I've always been taught like if you want SEO, you gotta really do a lot of video and a lot of like blogging. You have to have like keywords. So talk a little bit about content that converts.
So, content that converts is going to be targeting your specific audience. And I'm talking down to the field, the age range, like their very specific demographic, so that by the time they fill out that form to get in contact with you, you've already put them through the funnel that drives them directly to you and not to your competitor. We're all vying for the same leads, but we all have our ideal client. And so getting that specific client into the right funnel, into the right brand of funnel is what's going to convert for you. And yeah, you might get 50 leads into your pipeline in a month and only half of them are valid, But I would rather the valid half, 25. I would rather have 25 valid leads where like 20 of them convert because that's going to be where your bread and butter is. I mean, there's bots on the internet, so you can't stop those from coming in really. But like, we manage A minus B properties. I don't need the person that lives in the Ritz-Carlton neighborhood to come into my pipeline. That just doesn't make any sense, right? So, really targeting the right audience is what gets the right leads to convert. And if you build it the right way, you will attract the right people, and as long as your BDM is good, you will close those leads. Once we get the lead to you, it's your job to convert it. But by lining you up with the right audience is how we get you there.
Well, look, marketing is the top of the funnel, right? And I know inside of marketing is top, bottom, middle of the funnel, but if you don't get leads, you can't grow your business.
Right.
And so you don't know if you have a sales problem until you have leads, right? If you have a lead problem, this honestly, if you're listening to this and you have a lead problem, if you said to yourself, "We're just not getting enough leads," like this is the first line of defense to get those leads in the door to find out if you have and then of course if you have a low conversion rate you can determine, do we need to change our marketing message or do we need to train our sales team? Now,
Exactly.
when you onboard a client, do you find that most people know their target market? They're like or do you find that like that's something that you help people with, like by asking specific questions? Alex, I'll let
Yeah,
you answer that one. Yeah.
they don't understand their customer journey most of the time, and that's kind of the one of the most important things. Like, like you have a blog here, but there's no form for them, there's no way for them to contact you, reach out to you. It's really having those things placed in certain, you should have a form on every page. I truly believe it. You should have some way to get in contact with you on every page, or some call to action that's going to get them. And sometimes people put the wrong call to action, and it's like that's not something that's going to convert into an actual lead for that. So it's call to actions, it's the content you're doing, it's the forms, it's the whole package. And that's the thing, when we're creating these strategies for our clients, we're looking at that. And we're not where we understand that everyone's different. We ask them their goals for their business. We were talking to someone the other day, and they don't want to grow heavily. They don't. They can't. They're a smaller organization, and they want to make sure that they're not overloading themselves or their team. And it's very important. That's very important to them. So we're not going to give them the full throttle, because we don't want to do that because we don't want to crumble them at the same time. But it's just understanding who you're looking for. And like Lacey says, and a lot of times well, the biggest mistake property management companies make, I think, is that they're accepting every client. Every client's not for you. It's that one, those clients that are those time suckers, those clients that are those ones that make you lose sleep at night. Those little things really, affect your whole business, affect your team. And it's like when you really focus in on who your ideal client is and you stick to that and like wholeheartedly stick to every time I've ever waved from our ideal client, it's always come back to bite me. So it's like, really understand, you have to really stop, because we are at this place where we're in the past like 5 years, we were very selective. Before that, we wanted to grow, and we were little, taking this, taking that, and it always, came back to us tenfolds. And it's like, what is that worth? Is that one property that's going to act like 20 of them going to be, big for your business, or is, focusing on the ones that are actually going to help you grow properly?
So step one is really knowing your ideal client. And then step two is creating the messaging that will speak to that ideal client so that it doesn't grab those difficult clients, those C and D clients. So give me an example of what is the messaging? Is that the content that you guys talk about? Is that the blogging, or is that like paid ads? Like talk a little bit about, is that video or is it all the above? Tell me a little bit about the content.
So we don't do paid ads. That's another big thing that's different with us. We don't do paid ads. All of our growth is about organic growth. That's what's gonna keep you at the top of search when all of search is the Google AI blurb at the top. It's really about building out your story as a company and then creating the content around that. so that you attract the right person. Um,
So
it's about
before I even do messaging, then you guys both mentioned this. So step one is know the ideal client, and step two would actually, draft out a user journey. Is that correct? Before you actually do
yes.
messaging?
Mhm.
Got it. Okay. And I know this is it is impossible to answer, but I'm gonna ask anyway. On average, if you guys got the ideal client and they get the user journey down and we start building content, and you guys do all of your black box magic on the back end for SEO, what should somebody expect before they get on a top part of the search for specific items that they're looking for? And I know that's impossible to ask, but just humor me and just kind of give me a roundabout answer. And I'm not going to hold you guys to it.
So I can tell you what I've done with my site, and really the realistic expectation for any of this to start working is about 3 months, and that's just to implement the technical stuff. Once we get that, you'll start to see leads pick up, and then once we get more and more content, and that's both video and written, um, then you will see the real uptick. So every month, I just pulled the data the other day. Every month for the last 3 months, um, we closed 5 doors from directly from the website. And we're not in like a major growth mode right now. We are trying to take on more doors just to simply avoid churn. Um, but, it's still a very cheap lead source for us and less than $10 a lead.
Oh, wow.
And, we got like, I want to say 10 to 15 per month and then close like 5 of those.
So closing at basically a 33% close rate and $10 a lead, which your LTV is probably what, 4,000 a client, something like that. They stay for a couple of years at $200 a year. I'm just throwing some numbers out there. Now, one of the mindset that a lot of people have, that SEO is really just to get your website to the top, right? And you guys are both shaking your head no. So talk about that. So if somebody's listening to this and like, yeah, I mean, I got people here, they got websites for 20 years. I'm just in the business for 2 years. I'm never going to jump over them. They got too many Google reviews, X, Y, and Z. So talk about how you guys can circumvent that and still get to the top, without your website being up to the top, but your website is kind of because you have like maybe a blog or some kind of video. Is that so? Talk a little bit about that.
Your website should be your number one salesperson. But it also has a network of salespeople under it. It's the millions of other websites that are on the internet, and it's having everything be the same. It's having, there's so many different things out there, but it's really creating that brand presence. That's what it's really all about, is because if you go look at someone online and they just have their website, but then you see someone else who has a website and they're on Yelp, they're on Google, they have their Google My Business, everything's done, and all these different, citations that are out there, that's who you're going to look, because it creates that authority and it creates that trust. And, you know, trust is the new SEO, and how how things are really kind of proceeding forward, especially with AI coming in and all the LLMs. And it's looking for those things that, is making you that authority in that space. It's making you, if you're not found on the whole, all around, it's news articles, it's press releases, it's all these different factors, and creating that, just like any brand out there that that's a legendary brand out there that's been around forever. They're out there because people know who they are, and if people don't know who you are, that's you're not going to really be able to have that growth mode with it.
Yeah, so it's not just website, it's socials, it's Google My Business, all that good stuff. I say an example I have is when we were starting out Empire, we were like on buried on like page 66, right? You want to be on page one, two, or the last page, right? And but we wrote a blog on the eviction process in Houston. And that blog, people were anybody who searched eviction Houston, we actually showed up before some of those web pages. And so that was we found that as kind of I don't call it a hack, but we found that as now. Of course, of course, we got people who are going through evictions, right? Not our ideal client, but you can literally say, okay, here's our ideal client. Let's write something for that ideal client. Is and as I'm waiting to get my website up on those on that first page, this would be something that would and does it still work that way? I guess is my question because that was a long time ago. So, like, can you write a blog that might actually get you on that front page, even if your website's not there just yet?
Absolutely. You target that one specific keyword, and that's what you focus on. You write content with all the variations of that keyword. And I mean, what you're looking for is not just website traffic and impressions. You're looking for clicks. You need clicks because that's what makes your phone ring and that's what makes the outreach happen from for your company. That's what gets you a conversion, right? So we're not looking at just traffic and vanity, like we call them vanity metrics because it's just traffic and impressions, and that does nothing for my business. So yes, focusing on that keyword, it made your phone ring. Now, you probably did get some clients from it. Um, Maybe they weren't your ideal clients, so maybe it wasn't the best keyword for you, but it did make your phone ring, right?
Yeah, and look, early on, we just like y'all, we took anybody and everything in early on. And so if you're struggling and you're brand new and you still just like, hey, I'll take anything for right now, and then after a couple of years you trim, that's now each one of those blogs though, now Alex, you mentioned this, you should have a CTA, a call to action. So what like if I wrote a blog, should the CTA be to call me or should the CTA send them to my website?
They're already on your website. If if they're seeing your call to action. So like for example, like your eviction blog, that was the squatter blog for me. It ranked above the actual bill above the governor, and all his stuff. And it was at the height of it. I think it had over 600 keywords on it. And so like that was bringing massive traffic, and it was bringing those calls that weren't it was. I got some crazy squatter calls. Let me tell you over the past year. And it's really about whatever how you're positioning it. So like for that one, how I positioned it was, contact us if you're not sure how to handle it. We'll get you in touch with the right people. So you're being that resource for them. So I wasn't asking them to say, hey, let me take on your squatters. That's not what we wanted. But it was we can point you in the right direction to the right people. So being that resource, and with that, it creates again this level of trust, and it creates this, you're a resource for these people. And when, like I said, Lacey said, it's about the clicks. It's about, it's about the interwebs of your website. The more people go around, the longer they stay. All these things matter. The piece traffic is a part of it, but it's not the main thing. It's about what they're doing, how long they're engaging. So it's having those certain things. You're having a video on the page. You're having, these things that go out to, quality backlinks and internal and external. It's really just making sure that you're keeping people on your website. That's going to be your big thing. So what mine did was like contact us, but it went to our contact us page to get the our contact information, or went to a form. So it's really getting someone to convert somehow. And every time someone does that, it's giving your website a little more authority. So you may not be able to help that person that has the squatter in their house right now, but that's helping you raise up on Google. And then the clients you do want are going to come in the back door.
Yeah, so
What's funny is
you're go ahead,
oh,
Lacey.
I was just thinking about how, we've been to all these conferences, we listened to all these talks about how property management is a relationship-based business. And it's almost the same. It is the same with Google or any other search engine or AI tool. You're trying to build your reputation and authority or, um, these relationships. You're just trying to build it with a robot instead of with a human.
Yeah, and you guys mentioned authority. So there is something called a domain authority that I think was it Google gives that domain authority out there, and the higher you are, the more you rank. Is that kind of right? Mike, do I have that right?
Sort of.
Okay, tell us about domain authority real quick. High level, because I'm like a 10-year-old.
So it was created, it was manufactured. It was manufactured essentially. It was a vanity metric that was created, and that kind of that stuck. And it's something that you do thrive for, because what it's basically telling you, it's saying it's a range from 1 to 100. Um, that basically says that, that your website is bringing traffic, it's adding value. You're not a clickbait website, so the higher you are. So like I remember I was talking to Lisa today, the highest one I've ever seen is an MBA, the MBA dot or dot MBA, and I was like, whoa, I was like, I've never seen that number that high. And I think it was like a 90 something, other than like Wikipedia. But and it's basically creating this, it's giving this score that's going to kind of, and Google, I'm sure Google calculates that in some which way. We don't know their algorithm, but it's basically saying that this website is providing those things that we want. And it's a safe website to go to, one. It's a healthy website. You're not going to have these bad backlinks. One of the biggest mistakes people make is buy backlinks. They think it's, oh, they're going to get these backlinks and that's great. But it's these toxic little webs that kind of just push you down further and further because
So it's not just any backlink, it's the right backlinks.
Yeah. So, don't go buying backlinks because that, like if they're in other countries and all these other things, if they're not in your target areas and they'll red flag you and they will hide you. They will put you to, if you have that. And here's the thing, low authority score is not bad either. If you're a new website, it takes time. We just launched our website a couple months ago. It's a slow growing thing. And, the average property management company is anywhere from, I'd say, to 18 to 26, from what we've seen and the data we've been able to pull. Let me say this: if we were out there in private, we probably pulled your website. Me and her have been doing this for fun just before we even started the company. We just like love knowing whether people are out, what they're doing, and we watch a lot. We watch a lot of the big players in the area, and it's just those things they matter, but it was something that was just kind of created. And speaking, I think if I'm not wrong, I should know this as an ambassador, but I think SEMrush created it, didn't they?
Yes.
Yeah. So SEMrush is a software out there that is a conglomerate of softwares. There's so many different pieces to it, but it's very helpful in all things SEO. But they created this metric, and it kind of just trickled on to the other companies, and it just made this. They created their own domain. They created their own authority around domain authority,
Right.
and it's
But it's
been
all
awesome
about
to
trust.
see. Mhm.
That's really it. It's all about trust.
That's like the trust score that Google looks at, right? So we talked a lot about trust. All right, I got a couple of quick questions here because we're getting up against it. But my first question is, people listen to this, they're probably like, man, I'm already super reactionary and so busy. I don't have time to write blogs. Is that a requirement, or is that something that you guys could do for your clients?
We can absolutely do that. I do. I write blogs probably 4 of 5 days a week. I mean, it's just become part of my daily workload at this point is to write blogs, whether for myself or for a client.
And so if I wanted to do this myself, I really need to become like a SEMrush expert, a writing expert, a Google expert. Like there's so many pieces to this. Or I can literally just call you guys and say, hey, you guys take this over. And it could be literally done and dusted. And you guys are looking at it almost like a full-time employee. But because you have all the knowledge and tools, you can obviously do it in a fraction of the time that it would take me to do it.
Right. But we want to be clear that if somebody wants to learn how to do this themselves, we can absolutely teach them how to do it.
So if I had a marketing person that worked for me, I say, hey, I need them to literally level their game up. I can reach out to you guys and you guys can kind of help with that.
Absolutely.
It's great
Oh,
to
yeah, if you're the first to hear the breaking news, we actually have that's part of our business model is we are going to be doing actual trainings where we're going to be, we have a three-pronged, kind of like an academy in a sense, where you can either do the fundamentals, you can do the intermediate or the advanced. So depending where you are in that level, what you want to do, we can help you with that because we learned this because someone taught us, and that's why it's passionate. And to see like in property management, you have this cycle again, and you don't see the results take time, but here you can see things happen, and you watch the numbers, and it's addicting. That's what got me. It was like I look at analytics of like so many different companies every day, and it's like because I love to see the jumps and the volatility, and it's just like it's like you're in Vegas, at the roulette table, and it's just you don't know what you're gonna hit. Some days it's a good day, some days it's a bad day, and me and Lacey's text back and forth about our personal websites. Like, oh, we're down today, and it's just like, but when we're up, we're up. So it's a good day.
I need you guys to come back on and literally do a breakdown of vpmsolutions.com. I think that would be pretty freaking cool.
We would
All
You don't
right.
love
think we've
that.
already done? You don't think we've already done it, Pete? Let's do it. We're live right now. Let's
I'm
fight. I'm just
sure, I'm
kidding.
sure, I'm sure I'm going to get a sales pitch as soon as this podcast ends. So let's look ahead at marketing trends. AI is kind of a big thing. So tell us about what's going to happen, marketing trends, 2025 and beyond.
So Alex and I share articles about this every day, back and forth, because the truth is nobody really knows what's going to happen. What we can see so far is that you really need to take a comprehensive look at your online footprint. So where are you in front of your clients? That's always a good question. But how big is your online footprint? You've got your website, you've got your YouTube channel, you've got Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Pinterest and all that stuff. But you really need to take in account exactly how big your brand footprint is. And the way you grow your brand footprint is by telling your story on all the different platforms that are out there. So get a product like Hootsuite or something of that nature where you can push it all at once because are you kidding me? We can't post in 15 different websites or algorithms and different platforms every single day. That's insane. But um, really taking a comprehensive look and being mindful of the story that you're putting out there about yourself or your company, that's what's going to make a difference in the future. And I actually came across a tool where we can load your information into it and it will show you exactly where your footprint lies on it kind of looks like a topographical map. Um, and where if you need to put more content on which websites and which platforms. So that'll really help with the way that we're moving forward in AI.
And it's not giving up SEO either. That's the thing. You have to have the fundamentals of SEO in there to make the LLMs find you. That domain authority, all those things. That's what they're using so many different sources, every LLM, but it's you still have to be on there. If you're not on the internet, you're not on the things, you're not being found by the LLMs.
I hear often that SEO is dead in 2025, and that is so not true because you still need the fundamentals to make the LLMs pick you up.
All right. So, last question. What is one, other than calling you guys, which we're going to get to that here in a minute, what is one thing that you would recommend somebody who's listening to this to do? Should they look up their domain score? Should they, look in some, like what is one thing, one action item, other than calling you guys that they can do?
Question. That's I think the biggest thing is if you have a marketing agency, ask them questions, hold them accountable, and you know really asked for the deep level in because half the time they don't even know. They're just spinning and doing things over and over and just sending you these reports. And a lot of companies want to just make you buy more Google ads. Guess what? Our company hasn't used Google Ad in 2 years. We were putting thousands and thousands of dollars a month out, and we were getting tenant clicks and all these things. We are paying. We have no paid lead sources other than one right now, and that's for a backlink, a high quality backlink. But it's you don't need Google Ads but ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't let any marketing agency intimidate you because this is your business. And when I did it, for me, it was taking back the power in our business when we took back the power in our website.
And I'm going to say, Lacey, I'm going to ask you the same question, but you guys should have the top 10 questions to ask your SEO provider on your website. So get that done before we.
Funny you should say that.
Done.
Lacey, what's one thing that you would recommend?
Um, from a technical aspect, you could just do a basic audit on your website and make sure that everything is aligned. Make sure you have a H1 on so with like a title on every page. Just make sure you have a title.
No
That
broken
is
links, right?
one
Make sure you don't leave
very,
broken links.
yeah, no broken links. Very simple things that you can do to tweak the accessibility of your website and the technical aspects of your website. So just go make sure every single page has an H1 on it. That's something super simple. It takes hardly any effort.
And a picture.
And a picture.
Guys, thank you. I could literally talk to you. We're like literally over. I could talk to you guys for another hour or two on this. We'll have to have you guys get back in. But if somebody is like, man, I really need to reach out to those guys, how do they get in touch with you?
You can find us on clearlydigital.com, or you know where to find us. We're all over the NARPM network, and that's one thing that's when we built this company. We're like, listen, we're not going to look crazy in front of people. So, we're here doing this for real and because we're passionate about it and we care about the industry. We want to see everyone win, and that's really what this is about. So, we're happy to provide you a free visibility report to kind of let you know where you stand, and we're not going to push you into anything. We just want you to know. Think that there's power in knowledge, and like I said, for me, it was the revolt. Once I got that knowledge, I revolted in a great way. And here we are today, a couple years later with a company all around this.
Yeah, if you're a data junkie, this is probably right up your alley, for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, and it sounds like you guys go a little bit deeper than the average SEO firm, and you guys both are still in the business, running property management firms. You're using your own product, you're getting leads, you're closing them at a high rate. So, I highly recommend. If so, it's just give me the URL one more time: clearleads.com.
Clear Lead Digital.
Clearlead
Clear Lead Digital.
clearleaddigital.com. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you're listening to this and you're not a NARPM member, shame on you. Go to narpm.org or give them a call at 800-782-3452. Thinking about people that could use you guys, narpm.org can probably use you guys big time. And if you were looking for a remote team member that will know a little bit about this information or can take that on for you, help you write your blogs, help you do your videos, go to vpmsolutions.com. We have, I think at this time, we have like 43,000 people looking for work in the property management space. And you can reach out to me at pete@vpmsolutions.com. Guys, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank
Thank
you for having
you.
us.